Convicted of killing 7 babies in her care and attempting to kill 7 others, the former neonatal nurse Lucy Letby has been given a whole life sentence for her crimes, and her request for an appeal has been denied. But some experts have raised concerns about her trials, claiming vital evidence may have been misinterpreted.
An inquiry into the Countess of Chester Hospital and the NHS's handling of the tragedy is set to begin next week. But senior Conservative MP Sir David Davis is among those who want the inquiry postponed because of doubts about her conviction. Mr Davis says it's highly probable that Lucy Letby is innocent and joins us now. Very good morning to you.
Morning.
I should just point out there are the families of 17 infants, 14 infants, who will be appalled at the idea that you think she's innocent, because there has been a lengthy trial, a thorough investigation of the evidence, and a court of justice which has found her guilty.
Yeah. And as Ed knows, I'm a great defender of jury trials. And at the beginning, I thought much the same. I mean, you know, I feel for the parents. I mean, anybody must for parents' opposition. And at the beginning, I thought same. You know, she did this. She should go to prison forever, basically, which is what her sentence is. But then, I tried to read an article about it in a New Yorker, very, very, very respected woman, and I couldn't get it. I was stopped by a court order from getting it, so I raised it in Parliament. Now, this was all just run-of-mill stuff. I just expect to raise a question, get hold of the articles, and after that, I suddenly got a flood of people getting in touch. Now, it wasn't the normal conspiracy theorists. Very often MPs get loads of people writing about all sorts of things, you'll remember.
And there's been quite a lot of that around in this
some
case
of that
in
around
recent
this
weeks.
as well. But this wasn't that. This was past presidents of the Royal Statistical Society. This was very, very senior neonatal specialists, much more senior and authoritative than the experts, the so-called experts, in the case. Even last weekend, literally just 2 days ago, I had a letter from a Nobel Prize winner saying, keep going, you're onto something, there is an issue here. And I thought, what's going on? So I went back, and I spent most of the summer looking at it. I haven't been able to get all the data I want to get. I haven't been able to get hold of the transcript yet, because it's very expensive. I'll find a way.
You were quoted a price on trying to get hold of the court transcript.
The court originally said £100,000, which was sort of shock. But actually, I understand that the lady who wrote the New Yorker article paid about $9,000-10,000 for about half the transcript. So
surely the House of Commons Library
it ought to
should provide you as a member of Parliament.
It should,
with
and
this.
it hasn't.
Well, they should.
But it's wider than that, actually, Ed. I mean, the public, the reason I raised the question in the House in the first place is transparency of justice. You know, we need to know how our courts work. The public ought to be able to read it let's put that to one side.
Transparency of justice has already taken place.
Well,
because
let me go to
court proceedings are reported.
Sure, yeah.
All the evidence comes out.
Yeah.
Between June 2015, June 2016, Lucy Letby was on duty for those suspicious deaths. She wrote notes in her diary saying, I am evil. She was found guilty by not just 1 but 2 juries. What is it that you have your doubts about?
Right, let's start.
Because the Court of Appeal dismissed her.
I know, I read the appeal.
So they must believe that what you're saying is wrong.
That I did read in detail, and I think they've got that wrong themselves. But to come back to why and how. First off, it arose because in that period, depending on which month you take, 15 or 17 children died in a hospital where you'd expect maybe 2 or 3. So a really odd quirk. So you can understand, people thought, well, how did this happen? And so you then got the table you refer to showing her on duty. Well, that's where the first challenge from the Royal Statistical Society experts and so on comes in. They said, no, this is a common misapprehension of these things. Firstly, you're not taking on board all of the extra deaths. Just you've picked out half that happened to fit with Lucy Letby's shift schedule. That's the first thing.
Because there were deaths when she wasn't on duty, which are not part of that.
There were. About half the deaths, were when she was not on duty. So that's the first problem. So, and some really big deal statisticians, including one this weekend, Professor John Quigley, said this is not the way you do this. This is misleading. So that's point one. Point two was the expert evidence on how they died. Were these children murdered? Now, bear in mind, 6 out of 7 of the children they picked had a post-mortem, right? And the post-mortem had said natural causes, in essence. I had other very senior doctors, say neonatal doctors, specialists, current, working today, get in touch. One of them sent me an alternative diagnosis for every single death. Now, the point about this, and you go through everything, and everything you've mentioned, including, and I went through all the post-it notes and so on, which had opposite things, almost in the same series of post-it notes. Oh, I'm evil. And at the end of the same post-it note series, I've done nothing wrong. Why is this happening to me?
David Davis, I put it to you again that hearing evidence outside of a courtroom is not the same as evidence that is interrogated in a courtroom.
Yep.
Lucy Letby's defence had an opportunity to call the people who are now contacting you.
Yeah.
And it's their responsibility, obviously, to put all of that in front of the jury.
The other way around.
Just
the other way around. Some of them actually did contact the defence, I'm told. Now, I don't know what the conversation was between those, because I've written to the defence lawyer. I haven't yet had a response. I know that will. But the point here is, well, let's take your point about in court. The way British courts work is they start with the prosecution making the opening speech, explaining what the prosecution lawyer thinks has happened. What the case is. It used to be. I mean, when I was a youngster, I used to go to court hearings, be an hour and a half, 2 hours. Today, this is 2 or 3 days. It's a 2 or 3 day presentation. By the time you get to the end of 2 or 3 days, you've probably already made up your mind.
Can I ask you this, because it's really...
And you can't be challenged in that.
Really simple final question. In our system, the jury has to decide beyond reasonable doubt whether or not the offence was committed. Do you think there is reasonable doubt?
I think there's more than reasonable doubt. There are 4 possible options: murder, which is what the jury decided; a statistical artefact, which is what all the statisticians think; or the hospital wasn't up to it. One of the things that wasn't shown to the jury, as far as I can tell, was a finding by the Royal College of Paediatric and Child Health that actually this hospital had failed because of lack of resources and lack of teaching.
And you are not going to give up on pushing this, are you?
But the last thing as well is it might well have been an external infection they didn't detect. So lots and lots of real problems.
Lots of
what
big
I
questions.
want, I don't want to declare innocent. I want the trial looked at again by the system.
Please keep us in touch with your work on this. And you've also agreed to come back and talk to us on other issues in the coming weeks.
Indeed.